doesn't reject me. She lets me have all the milk so that I'll grow big and one day overthrow Mama Chi-Chi.
Insert bleating gag here.
Wow, that was an incredible bleat gag.
Thank you. I spent 2 weeks thinking it up.
Welcome, listeners. Welcome to episode 9 of the Goat American novel.
9 is an auspicious number. I can't hold back, Erin. Today is the day, finally, when we make it inside the barn.
Dun dun dun! It's been a long time coming.
Yes, and by the way, if anyone is new out there, turning in for the first time, don't wreck it for yourself by jumping in now. You have 8 episodes of dramatic tension to go back and enjoy from the start.
Start at the start. And listeners, while they are leaving, we'll take this moment to remind you, please share this podcast with a friend, someone or someones of any age. We are very proud to say that we officially have listeners from all 6 living generations.
Even Gen X? Those poor people don't like anything. They're too traumatized from growing up in the 70s.
I think we officially have one Gen X listener that we're aware of.
Wait a minute. Does it really count if the Gen Xer is one of our voice actors? I mean, she sort of has to listen.
Anyway, it's episode 9, and I'm Erin Alden, co-host and oldest living Gen Z woman.
Really? That's an amazing, incredible coincidence. I'm the youngest living Gen Z.
That's why we have such great co-host chemistry. Ursula, tell the people who wrote the Goat American novel.
What? The Goat American novel was written by Hildy Festerling, elder millennial, who grew up watching inappropriate movies with her Gen X older sibling.
It really does make a lot of sense. Ursula, what the heck is going on?
Some of the goats are heading in. That's really what's happening. Some of the goats are going into the barn. I wouldn't give it all away, but if you like silver, get ready. This is a silver-heavy episode.
And if you think silver is an obnoxious blowhard, get ready.
This is a silver-heavy episode.
Ursula, do the people know that Silver is based on a very real goat? Was she always like this?
Yeah, she came out looking more like a baby donkey than a baby goat, and by the end of her first day, she was already trying to bully her twin away from the teat.
But somebody you'd want in your corner in a fight.
You know, a narcissist can fight, but will they fight? For you? Time will have to reveal whether Silver can be bothered to use her powers for good.
Any content warnings?
Well, Goatko Ono talks, shall we say, very frankly about the ways of billies, which are gross.
Is this appropriate for children?
We asked Grandma Goatko to keep it PG-13.
Alright, well, I'm ready.
I'm not sure any of us can really be ready.
It's happening anyway.
The 3 yearlings, shaken and invigorated by the revelation of demonic possession going on inside FM's cabin, were heading back to their hangout in Millicent's loft. Stephanie was in the heat of concocting a plan about how to trap Pearl in a giant bucket. But Minerva wasn't listening. Minerva wasn't listening because she had spotted, through the window, a little form walking in the direction she'd just come from. "Hey, guys," Minerva bleated up to the other yearlings from the bottom of the hayloft ladder. "I need to eat some tree bark. I'll be back in a bit." "Bring back a rope when you come back," Stephanie bleated down. Minerva trotted out of the craft barn and headed after the person she'd seen through the window. It was Layla, Millicent's middle child, and Layla was headed straight for the fence to FM's place. Minerva walked after her, and watching Layla cross under the fence, she waited a bit and then sprang easily over top of the same fence. Then Goat followed Girl across field and over the second and third fences, right back up to FM's cabin, where Minerva had been with the other goats only moments before. Minerva's heart jumped when she realized Layla was headed straight for the cabin. Minerva liked this girl. This girl who seemed somehow to be a human version of a yearling. Not quite a kid, not quite a nanny. Minerva was suddenly aware of liking this girl quite a lot. The girl had always been there, in the background, sometimes coming in the morning with FM to do the chores, sometimes wandering through the fields on her own. Minerva had been captivated earlier, watching through the window as the girl had gone into the grown-up animals' meeting to put daisy chains around the goats' necks. And Minerva felt suddenly that she wanted more than anything, to be the goat getting the daisy chain around her neck. Now, Layla was headed straight for the cabin where the possessed dog was. Minerva's fur bristled with concern. Was she safe? Would the dog hurt Layla? Minerva increased her speed to catch up, but by the time she crossed the third fence and was in FM's yard, the girl was already going through the cabin door. Minerva's heart pounded with memories of the noise and chaos that had come from the spot just moments before. That awful, bewildering music and the flickering lights and the demons screaming about having all the power. Minerva pushed through her fear to make her way up to the cabin and watch through the window.
Oh, Pearly!
Layla had slumped onto her knees on the floor.
What happened in here, Pearl?
The dog lay still, groaning with its paws over its ears. Minerva stamped her hoof nervously. Was the dog really possessed by a demon? And if so, would it hurt Layla?
You must miss FM so much,
Layla was saying.
Layla is here now, Pearl. Layla is here.
Minerva watched on nervously.
I brought you a hamburger, Pearly girly whirly.
Layla pulled a mashed lump of something out of her back pocket. Slowly, Pearl lifted her head. Minerva tensed, ready to smash the window, leap in, protect Layla. She watched Pearl open her glowing red eyes. But wait, Pearl's eyes were not glowing red. They were a very normal brown color. But would she now start foaming at the mouth or talking in that demonic voice again? Layla held out the smooshed hamburger. Pearl opened her slathering fangs, her foaming mouth. No, there was none of that. The dog only put out her tongue weakly to lick the hamburger once, then looked up at Layla with her mournful eyebrows raised, as if to say, "For me?"
Oh, Pearly, you made a mess of FM's cabin. But you still deserve a hamburger.
Pearl took the lump and wolfed it gently down in what seemed to be 3 very polite gulps by possessed dog standard. When she was finished eating the hamburger, Pearl placed her heavy white head in Layla's lap and licked the girl's hand.
Oh, Pearl, you must have been pretty upset to knock so many of FM's things over like this,
Layla said. And then she lay her whole long self out on the carpet to snuggle the giant white dog in the spoons position. Minerva felt a jolt of something very unpleasant in all 4 of her stomachs. The girl didn't need her protection. All the girl wanted to do was snuggle the big dumb dog. This is foolish. I never should have followed her. Minerva turned around, muttering, "I don't think that dog is possessed, but I'm going to find that rope and trap her anyway." But as she turned her head in the direction of Millicent's hayloft, she heard, not far from her, a tinkling of bells. Having crossed that particular line of bells more than once herself, her interest was immediately aroused. She knew from personal experience that the tinkling of bells meant pumpkins. Delicious pumpkins. And also, she knew that FM normally guarded over these pumpkins. Normally, whenever those bells went off, a goat had only a minute to steal a little mouthful of orange flesh before FM came running out to chase them off. But now, someone was making the bells tinkle, and FM was not around to chase them out. Minerva went closer to the woven fence and peered through the willow work. No doubt about it, there was someone in the pumpkin patch. 2 someones, yes. One extra-large baby goat had her head entirely inside a pumpkin, gnawing, and one extra-small baby goat was butting the large baby goat at the back of the knees and hitting the woven fence with its alarm bells on the rebound. I'm the one who says when I've eaten enough apples, I need these to get stronger, Silver answered, smashing her head into another huge, hard-shelled orange fruit.
You're plenty strong already,
Goatina bleated back. She and Silver had been in this patch for hours, eating apples, or possibly pumpkins, and then napping, then eating, then napping. It was Silver's fourth go-around. Miraculously, they had been so full of pumpkins that they had slept right through the ruckus in FM's cabin, not far away. Now they were awake again, and this time Goatina was determined that they would not get distracted, that they would make it to Ruby's barn.
You're just putting it off. You're scared because you heard that roar.
Silver is never scared, Silver answered before. So, you really did hear a roar. Goatina and Silver whipped their heads around to see Minerva squeezing under the woven perimeter of the pumpkin patch and making the warning bells tinkle. Ugh, she heard about it. I told you, Mango told them everything. Silver bleated, rearing at Goatina. They're all talking about me now. No one's talking about you, Minerva answered, intervening to knock Silver away from Goatina. So take it easy, tough guy, Minerva went on. They're talking about demons and dogs and chupacabras. What's a chupacabra? Silver asked. Never mind. But I have been wondering about that roar. And I was wondering where the two of you were. Silver swiped her head, casting a wide-eyed look up at the barn that loomed over the blackberry hedge. Well, since you're bothering to ask, the roar was horrible. It was an unimaginable horror such as no goat has ever experienced or survived. She shook her head again. Anyone would have run. It was so horrible I forgot that I am Silver. Do you understand? I forgot who I was. She made to bite into the pumpkin, but Minerva gently pushed her away. You'll get the bloat if you eat any more. Did you two hear all that racket from the cabin a little while ago?
I don't think so,
Goatina said. What racket? Silver added. You're kidding me. It was so loud here.
Well, you see, we ate a lot of apples, and we...
Goatina began. Yes, a lot of apples. The most apples of all time. Minerva cut her off. Why are you two here anyway? Isn't this near where you heard it? Minerva raised her head and took her first proper close-range look at the great collapsing barn that loomed over them, just beyond the blackberry hedge that formed the back boundary of FM's farm. Did you two come here just for the pumpkins? No, for the apples, Silver answered, reaching for an enormous bite of pumpkin.
No, we came...
Goatina began, then clammed up. For what? Minerva asked, coming closer to Goatina. Goatina did a shy little stamp, then tossed her long brown ears. What are you two up to? Minerva asked. There's been weird things going on all day, and now the two of you are way off out here, all alone and acting funny. What's going on?
Well, you know, I saw Ruby One-Horn in my dream. And she came to me, and in that dream I was inside that barn, that one there, and I saw so many things. Weird things. But I couldn't keep myself from walking down that dark hall. It's like she was calling me. When I got to the end of the hall, a light clicked on, and there was that music stuff FM makes. Only it was just wild, and an old light clicked on, and there was weird old human stuff falling all around me, and it all just came to life up in that barn with the music and the lights, and no one's been in there for
100 years. Minerva finished.
Yes, and that's just when I saw her. I saw her one long horn.
And music and lights came on? Minerva asked thoughtfully, thinking of the strange goings-on in FM's cabin just a half an hour before.
Yes!
Goatina stamped her hoof.
Now everyone's talking about Ouija boards and the roar and the demons and the chupacabra, but I don't know about any of that. All I know is that Ruby, she's calling to me.
Goatina stamped her tiny hoof again and shook her little floppy ears out. And Minerva saw just how small she was. How Goatina would never be a full-sized goat. Minerva gently bleated the sounds of caprine comfort, and she came over to little Goatina, who was just twitching with all her big ideas and feelings. And Minerva put her own neck over top of Goatina's little back and rubbed her jaw along the little one's spine. So you, littlest goat, you recruited this obnoxious prize winner here to be your backup, and you came to go looking for the real Ruby One-Horn yourself in that collapsing haunted nightmare of a barn. Who are you calling obnoxious? You got the prize winner part right, though. Silver tried to butt in, but the other two ignored her.
Don't you try and stop us, Minerva,
Goatina said.
You're the one who told me Ruby's story, and I'm going in there.
Minerva peered up into the broken glassy windows. She could just make out through the holes in the dusty panes. Stacks of human things. Something was roused in her. She'd show Layla. She was more interesting than some dog. She looked at the two kids. Well, if I can't stop you, I guess I'd better go with you. Oh, no, you aren't. Silver looked up from her pumpkin. I'm the boss of this expedition. No, you're not, you blowhard. Goatina is. Minerva stamped her hoof as if deciding something important. But I can't let you two go alone. I owe it to Mom to look after you both. She's my cousin, and you're my little sister, after all. What do you mean I'm your little sister? I'm the big sister. Obviously, Silver chortled. Minerva was still a hoofprint taller than Silver, and she gave her a good crack on the head. We have the same mom, you dummy. I was Lady Baba's baby last year. That makes me your big sister. I don't know about any of that. No, I'm the big sister. Have you seen how much bigger than Dandy I am? You hornskull. How are you just learning just now that we have the same mom?
Guys,
Goatina interrupted.
Stop it. Look.
Silver and Minerva looked up at the dark barn. The fur on their spines began to raise, because inside the farthest window there could be seen the faintest blue glow. It flickered once, then went out. Goatina let out a determined bleat.
Meh!
And she ran for the fence that marked the outer edge of FM's property. Silver hesitated, but Minerva knocked her on the backside. Come on, bodyguard, we got to take care of her. And they both followed. The outer fence was old. Ancient, really, and in total disrepair, but a huge thicket of thorny blackberries had grown up on the untended westerly side. Goatina threw her weight against the thick wall of thorny canes, but her scant bulk made hardly a dent.
Help me! Goatina bleated. Help me!
I am, said Silver, and all three goats joined in, pushing and punching their way through the ancient hedge of blackberries. The old canes made a wall some 6 feet thick, but the little goats pushed and crashed and then squeezed their bodies through in the darkness. The old canes with their thorns bristling against their little sides until finally they punched their way through and stepped out, Goatina first, into the light, found themselves in the abandoned, weedy yard of the westerly barn. The immense darkness of the long 2-story barn rose up in front of them. Where'd the ghosts go? Silver asked, scanning the dark windows. I guess it doesn't hang around waiting for us, does it? Minerva answered, doing the same.
That's why we have to go in,
little Goatina said. She charged the front door of the barn, but it held firm with a clank of ancient iron fastenings. She butted it and shoved and knocked at it with her horns.
Hey, aren't you guys supposed to be the muscle?
But Minerva took a long look at the door. We won't be able to open it this way. See those metal things? Those are locks. They're keeping that door from opening.
Then we'll find another way,
Goatina said, and she struck out around the other side of the barn. Minerva and Silver followed. Minerva saying to Silver, I didn't know this little one was so determined, did you? And Silver answered, I don't pay attention to anyone unless they are my rival.
Look, Goatina said, there's a lot of ivy climbing on this wall.
Silver began eating the ivy.
Oh, no, you don't. We're going to climb it. Look, it goes right up to that window. Ruby's always spotted up in that higher area anyway. That's where I'm sure I was in my dream.
Minerva looked over the wall. I'm not sure we can climb all that way. The ivy will help, but that's higher than 6 goats, and it's straight up.
We can at least try.
Goatina jumped up, her front hooves finding purchase on the ivy's woody stems.
See, we can...
She jumped her back hooves up. I'm up! Then swoosh, thump. She slid down and fell hard on her butt. I don't know about this, Minerva said.
Well, you can climb onto Silver's back, and we go from there.
Hey, where is Silver now?
Silver? Silver!
Goatina bleated.
She probably went back to the apples. I never should have brought her.
Silver! Minerva called. Come near these thistles and I'll knock you on your salt block. Came the familiar voice from around the edge of the barn. Only Silver may feast on these thistles. I need to absorb their spines and become the toughest herd queen the world has ever seen. Goatina and Minerva followed this bleating around the corner of the barn to where they found Silver, surrounded by blooming purple thistles growing in the shadow of a giant stack of old wooden milk crates. Minerva and Goatina looked at each other. They didn't see historical dairy artifacts. They saw a precarious but towering mountain of crates leading right up to the hayloft window. Minerva aimed her butt right underneath Silver's salt block to lift and toss her onto the first tier in the pyramid of crates. Come on, prize winner. Prove your worth. Go up and smash that window for us. As the three little goats clip-clopped gingerly up the rickety stack of 100-year-old crates, FM in her purple bathing suit and matching swim cap waded into the sea, which was radiant with the red rays of the afternoon sun over the ocean, and she was surprised to hear herself sing. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, climb every mountain till you find your dream.
Smash it, Silver. Smash it good.
Yeah, smash it good. And Silver smashed it good as they all teetered atop the mountain of crates. And it was this smashing sound that attracted the notice of Scott, former radio DJ and new owner of the Westerly farm. He was sitting in his office and planning the purchase and dismantling of his next golden oldies radio station when he heard it. He got up, went to his window, and peered through the blinds. His sharp gaze went straight to the source of the sound. Peering toward his new barn, at the far end of his new property, he looked straight at them. 3 plump little bodies moving around. Could it be climbing the barn wall? He squinted and snatched up a pair of binoculars and focused them, and watched as one of the goats shoved her way to the window and turned her head to use her long horn to knock away the shards of glass that clung to the window frame. Goatko Ono warned me about this glass stuff, Minerva was explaining to the kids. Okay, we're clear.
I'm going in first,
Goatina bleated, shoving her way to the front. And inside the new house, a thin smile formed on the lips of Scott, the radio station inquisitor, as he watched the 3 goats leap their agile ways through the window and into the top floor of his hayloft.
Well, well. How wonderfully convenient.
And FM, floating on her back under the setting sun, found herself singing, Highway to the danger zone. Oh, take me right into the danger zone.
Today's episode is brought to you by Alpaca Spray Park, brand Nose Puzzles. Today's episode is brought to you by Alpaca Spray Park, brand hose nozzles. Take a moment to look out your window at your alpaca. Is he looking droopy, drowsy, dare I say depressed? Your alpaca's seasonal depression affects not only his mood, it also negatively impacts his digestive rumen, which may even decrease the value of his fiber. You need Alpaca Spray Park brand hose nozzles. This 18-setting spray nozzle provides limitless possibilities for invigorating your alpaca through hydrotherapy. If you have thumbs, you can toggle with ease through delightful settings, such as spring rain, thundering waterfall, mermaid's dream, fire hose, and disco boogie. Alpaca Spray Park brand nose hose nozzles provide hours of fun and relief for your alpaca and to you, the operator.
Yay!
So, don't let him droop. Let it rain.
Found Goatko Ono in her habitual corner of FM's barn, chewing her cud and resting in the straw. Dandy stood frozen in the doorway for a moment, arrested by the sight of Grandma Goatko's prized possession, the lump, which floated in its jar of vet potion on a little ledge in the corner of her stall. Finally, she cleared her throat and spoke up.
Hello, Grandmother,
she said, respectfully from the doorway.
Grandma!
Mangoat bleated, and she ran right in and jumped on Goatko Ono's back. Goatko Ono turned her nearly sightless blue eyes up to look at Mangoat. Which ones are you? I have more than 100 grandchildren, you know.
I'm Dandy, Grandma. I'm one of Lady Baba's twins from this year.
Goatko Ono squinted. Not the boaster?
No, Grandma, that's my sister Silver.
The neighbors are spoiling that kid by calling her a prize winner all the time. Humans don't know beans about raising kids. She'll be a trouble to this herd, mark my words, unless someone gives her some guidance.
Oh, I know!
Mangoat bleated, and she vaulted off her grandmother's behind to smash her head against the wall, pretending she was truly knocking Silver down.
Don't worry, Grandma. I'll give her some guidance.
Ouch! Goatko Ono bleated. You must be Mama Chi-Chi's big girl. She told me she had a spirited one this year. I like a spirited kid. What's your name?
Mango, Grandma,
Mangoat said, climbing up onto Grandma's personal mineral salt lick and leaping off of it. Good girl. Well, I may be 18 years old, Mangoat, but jump on me again and I'll knock you into next Tuesday, is that understood? I wasn't queen of this herd for 13 years for nothing.
Yes, Grandma,
Mangoat said, and she fidgeted at scratching with her ear with her hind hoof. Now, have you girls seen my lump? Goatko Ono asked, and then, without answer or prompting, she launched into her monologue. My name is Goatko Ono. I am named, so I am told, after the greatest human artist of all time. Oh, we have seen the lump, Grandma, Dandy said. It's wonderful. Oh, of course you have.
Yeah! I've always wanted to smell it. Can I smell the vet juice?
No, you can't smell the vet juice. I'm sorry, I forget. What did you girls come to see me about?
Grandma, we came to ask you about something,
Dandy said, coming closer. All right, you've got until I fall asleep.
Okay. Well, the first thing is, what do you think about all this chupacabra business?
Goatko Ono gazed thoughtfully out the stall window for a long time.
Is she sleeping already?
Mangoat whispered, but Dandy hushed her. Goatko Ono finally spoke. I went to the billy 14 times. Mangoat made a horrified face, but Dandy arched her eyebrows warningly at her. Billies come and go. I saw at least 8 different billies. It's hard to keep track. But every single billy acted the fool when he saw me. One climbed up onto the roof of his barn and threw himself off to impress me. He broke his leg just at the sight of me, and they had to bring in a new one. Several billies peed on their beards and tried to rub the beard on me. One tried to drink my pee.
Gross!
Mangoat bleated painfully. Grandma, why are you telling us this?
Quiet. Grandma's talking.
The point, child, is billies like to show off. And this young fellow who showed up all chupacabra this, goat sucker that, well...
He's like a human billy. He's just showing off,
Dandy said. I heard that you were a smart one, Goatko Ono observed.
So, you think that's all it is?
Grandma Goatko took a long time answering. Probably, child. Probably, but not certainly.
Okay,
Dandy said, marveling at the intelligence in the old watery eyes.
I'm really glad that gross Billy story had a point, Grandma, Mangoat bleated. But that human Billy doesn't have a beard. What do human Billies pee on?
Goatko Ono chuckled. That I don't know.
So, you don't know anything about chupacabras?
Aren't coyotes and bears and cougars enough to worry about without bringing any, what did he say, truly modern monsters into it?
That's a good point. Okay, my next question is, what do you know about demonic possession, Grandma?
Come again, child?
Demonic possession!
Mangoat leaped off the salt block.
It's when your immortal soul gets filled with evil demon bees and the lights go crazy and then there's that weird human singing, sort of like FM does, only really, really loud, and a demon voice, and the demon is also squealing about how it can fly.
Never heard of it. Maybe it's in the Ripleys, believe it or not. Now stop jumping in my stall.
We'll let you sleep, Grandma. There's just one last thing.
Go on.
Have you ever heard of Ruby Onehorn?
The old goat lifted her head and her cloudy eyes flickered with clarity. So, they're still telling the story of Ruby. Well, good. It's a travesty what happened to that goat.
Is it all true, Grandma?
I don't know what you heard, but Ruby was a real goat, a great herd queen, and she was the founder of our milk and wool producing animals neighborhood society.
Oh, Dandy whispered. The memory goes back that long?
That long! Those damned humans, they were afraid of Ruby. When they took it into their human heads to up and leave that place, by all reports it was a place of misery. They sold off the rest of the animals to the highest bidder, but they were too scared to try to catch Ruby. Her horn was 9 inches long and sharpened to a knife point. They knew she wouldn't let them break up the herd and sell off all the animals at auction. No, she would fight them all to keep the herd together. Even the cows, she was queen of them too. So they lured her into that barn. They locked the door and let her rot.
Did she really kill a man?
Mangoat asked, breathless.
That's beside the point, isn't it? Don't humans kill animals all the time?
Do you think she really haunts that old barn? That barn behind FM's cabin? Is it the same one from the story?
Well, it's the same barn, that's sure enough. About the haunting, who can say for sure? I've never seen it, but when the descendants of the original society members are in their time of need, goats and sheep always tell her story and claim to have seen her, claim she helped them. All we really know is that she died up there. What we know for certain is that that is the very same barn where they trapped her, where they locked her up with the rest of that cursed family's possessions. Goatina sailed through the broken window to land in the dusty gloom of the westerly barn hayloft. She looked round, blinking, allowing her eyes to acclimate to the darkness. Silver followed, sailing through the window, and crashed into her, and they both fell in a heap in the thick dust of the floor. Then Minerva came through, and she landed on them both.
Ow!
It's Ruby! She's attacking me! Silver bellowed. It's me, you horn skull! Now let me get up!
You
She's
are both
crushing
me. I am the littlest goat.
I can't get to my feet with you two thrashing under me.
I'm trying to get up.
Well, Ruby is on me. Even Silver could not get up when being pinned down by a malevolent ghost. Ow!
Don't you blame Ruby.
I'm Minerva. I'm not Ruby. Minerva is on you. How am I supposed to trust that? Ghosts always lie.
Ruby's name out of your mouth, Silver.
Goatina railed, driving her little horn buds into the fur above her. Silver drove the sharp points of her precocious horns back into Minerva's face. Ha! Take that! Ow, you miniature... Ow. How do you like that, ghost?
If you blame Ruby one more time...
Oh, you're the worst, Silver. Mom should have rejected you at birth. Mom doesn't reject me. She lets me have all the milk. She wants me to grow big so that one of her daughters will overthrow the reign of Mama Chi-Chi. But what do you know about it, ghost? I'm not a ghost. I'm your big sister. Now stop squirming. Get off of me! I'm the big sister, ghost. There was a rasping, buzzing noise suddenly, and a click. And the room was filled with a thin yellow light. The goats froze in their squirming. The light flickered once, twice, 3 times, then pulsed strongly and stayed to illuminate the filthy old hayloft and everything in it. The light was coming from a bare and ancient electric bulb on the ceiling, and there was no reason that light should have been on. The filament had burnt out long ago, and moths had filled the bulb, but the light was on just the same. The 3 goats silently disentangled themselves and got to their hooves, looking all around. FM? Minerva bleated nervously. Is she in here? Did she turn that light on? The goats were somewhat used to lights, as FM had them up in the barn, and she turned them on in the dark winter days when the goats didn't want to go out in the snow. But the goats all seemed to know instinctively that lights needed humans to turn them on.
Ruby did it, Goatina whispered. She turned the lights on for us.
Silver darted glances all around herself, turned in a circle, and when she did not see any ghost or any other threat, she shook herself out and knocked Goatina over, just to restore her sense of self. What is all this stuff? Silver asked. Because the long, cathedral-high hayloft, broken in the middle where its roof was falling in, was filled with a confusion of overflowing boxes, wooden crates, in fact. There were so many crates that they formed dark corridors and rooms of their own, and every box was spilling over with things. Old human things. Things the goats did not recognize. And all of it lit and casting shadows by the eerie, mysterious, and thin glow of the electric light that should not be on.
This is just like in my dream,
Goatina whispered. Silver went up to the nearest box and bit into it just to make sure it wasn't tasty, and it wasn't. It tasted like dirt and old tractor grease. So she knocked it over, but the particular box at her head height had 4 other boxes on top of it, and they all came toppling down. The goats all bleated in alarm and tried to get away as the ancient wooden boxes came tumbling and smashing down around them, smashing on impact with the floorboards, and the contents all burst out, scattering human things all around them. It is difficult to understand what the goats thought they were seeing. To them, it was just a disorienting jumble. But you might have recognized a crate of champagne glasses, half a set of mildewy encyclopedias, a box of antique hand-crank egg beaters and whisks and crystal salt and pepper shakers and a cast-iron hand-crank coffee mill, and a box of old scarves, old silk, eaten into ribbons by the moths of a century. All of this and more crashed around them. There was a moment of silence as the matter in the hayloft, which had not moved in nearly 100 years, resettled in its new configuration of mess on the floor. Then a jewelry box, which had been wedged between the boxes and a wall, slithered to the ground at its own pace, the bursting open of its guts of jewels, the finale of the whole thing. "Well, the humans won't like this," Silver opined. "Humans hate it when you smash their stuff up. One time, FM whacked me on the butt, just because I knocked all the barrels of grain over."
Well, the humans who owned all this stuff are dead, Gotina reminded her. And besides, that little pile barely scratches the surface. There's 100 more boxes. 100 and 100 and 100. Come on, I already saw all this in my dream. Let's explore.
Gotina headed down the passage of boxes, Silver at her heels, but Minerva lingered, her eyes on the beautiful bright things which had fallen out of the jewelry box. There was something in it, something that glinted bright red. It was a delicate circle, and Minerva remembered the sight of Layla putting daisy chains around the mother goats' necks. She picked the strand up with her lips. It was strung with cold, smooth bits of something beautiful.
Minerva, are you with us?
Gotina called back.
Yep,
Minerva bleated. And with a little difficult wriggling, she slipped the glittering strand over her horns and let it slither into the fur around her neck. Then followed the others. The 3 goats made their way down the long central corridor of the barn. The lights flickered a bit, but held steady, which was good, because the collapsing barn loft was a dark maze of boxes and rotting wood and roof shingles and beams falling down. There were a few grimy windows that let in the late afternoon light, but these were mostly blocked by the stacks of boxes, stacked ceiling high, with only narrow corridors between them. A sudden rush of flapping whooshed over Silver's head. What was that? All 3 goats watched as the flapping commotion reached the center of the loft, then made for the golden shafts of afternoon sunlight that illuminated the dust motes in the place that the ceiling was lowest, and the flapping whoosh made its fluttering way upwards. The 3 goats instinctively trotted to follow, and looking up through the collapsing hole in the roof, saw the wings of barn swallows silhouetted against the sky. Gotina broke the silence when she looked down and saw the dusting sunbeams fall on a box of long, flat, white, empty human hands.
I saw these in my dream. Don't they look like they'd come alive on the full moon and go around pinching animals?
Minerva looked into the box and inspected them. I think I've seen FM wear things like this. In the wintertime, I guess, because she doesn't have any fur on her hands. Humans are so creepy, Silver shuddered, when you think about it. No fur of their own, always carrying stuff here to there, using their hands, hanging around with nasty dogs, wearing stuff over the creepy skin coats, howling all the time, stealing our mom's milk. Minerva kept staring at the boxes of gloves. I just don't understand why they had so many. These dead people had too much stuff, Silver bleated dismissively. Come on.
I think we go this way,
Gotina said, pointing her nose toward the far end of the stall. The 2 younger goats went along, but Minerva stopped. Too much stuff. Too many possessions! Too many possessions! She trotted to catch up with the younger kids. Too many possessions! That's what Ruby Onehorn told us through the sign. We read it this morning on the Western Star sign, and that's what she said. You 2 weren't there. Ruby said too many possessions. What do you mean Ruby told you? Western Star, what even? Silver shook her head.
It's this thing,
Gotina explained, eyes wide, from last night. She gave a full-body shiver.
You guys used it again?
Yes.
And she said that? Too many possessions? I don't understand. What are possessions?
It means, like, stuff you own.
I thought it meant when a demon goes in your body.
Well, it has both meanings. It's just probably where the confusion comes in. Minerva tried to explain, but the complexities of human words were beyond even her. Gotina shivered again.
I don't know. I feel like Ruby's trying to talk to us, or warn us, or ask us for help.
Maybe all three, Minerva said, stamping her hooves to try to keep her hair from bristling. I'm hungry, Silver announced. I don't know what you two are talking about, but it's time for us to get out of here. I haven't eaten in hours.
What are you talking about? You ate for so many hours, just right before we came in here.
If I don't eat enough, I'll waste my potential. Minerva took Silver out at the knee. Sorry, prize winner. We're not going anywhere. We're going to stay up here and get to the bottom of this. Show us the way, Gotina. Outside the barn, the sun was in the red throes of setting. Scott, former radio DJ, destroyer of FM radio stations and new owner of every thistle, every timber on the old Westerly property, walked to the barn. His barn. He peered through a knothole in the ground floor and smiled a satisfied smile at what he saw within. Then he checked and rechecked the large, shiny new padlocks he'd recently installed on the front door of the barn. And then, not humming to himself or even whistling, but moving in silence, as was his habit, he went around to the back of the barn, where a large stack of old milk crates had sat underneath a high window for 100 years. And Scott set to work, demolishing the stack and dispersing it, moving each crate far from the window so that it could no longer be used as a staircase, either into or out of the barn's high loft. Oh my gosh, listeners, what happens next? Thank you so much for coming along with us on this journey so far. My name is Hildy Festerling. A quick request. I'm going to need your questions or your children's questions about anything to do with cassette tapes, VCRs, VHS tapes, AM, FM radio, rewinding, fast-forwarding, tapes, spools, recording off the TV, taping off the radio, any of that. I want any questions, comments, confusions from your younger generations. What the heck was going on? Send your questions and comments, as always, to goatamericannovel@gmail.com. The Goat American Novel was written and produced by me, Hildy Festerling, with additional performances by Johnny Buker as a very creepy new neighbor, Ursula Buker as co-host and the voice of Layla, the dreamiest dog sitter I've ever seen, Erin Alden, co-host, Caleb Alden as Sawyer and Mateo, the alpaca, Gabriel Alden as Millicent. She does her own singing. Please remember to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps so much. And share this podcast with a friend or friends. I think that about does it. Have a great 2 weeks. We'll be back.